kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, today I want to wrap up this RPGA Day 2016 series of questions so that I've been, answering months and months late. Anyhow, I wanted to go over a couple of questions that I kind of skipped over because I wasn't sure what to say. Number 11, I believe, is what gamer had the most influence on you. I got it blocked by this little video box here. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I was thinking about it, and I had a conversation with JDRD30 at some point. I think, probably via email, and when we first started talking, and he mentioned that he'd learned more in the last 3 years than he had in the first 30. Getting involved in the brigade and in blogging and watching other people's stuff, vlogging, and I thought about it, as I've listened to this question or reading this question, I'm thinking that's true. So I'm really not gonna narrow it down to a person or anything, but I can tell you that I had a big hiatus from gaming. And I came back and started gaming sometime around 2010 again, and it was involved in forums, and learned a lot of stuff there. Definitely had got some influence from people there. These people I just never met for the most part, and then I've gotten some, as I've returned, back in mid 2015 or late 2015, and been active this past year. I've not only, despite the fact that I produced an embarrassing amount of content, especially in the last half of the year, I've actually watched a lot of content by other people, and had some engaging discussions with them. So I'd hate to I'm gonna miss people, but people like RuneSlinger, like JDRD30, like Tim Harper, talking about games, Abraham. I'm thinking who else? Sam LG recently, and a bunch of other people that I've really just kind of Complex Games Apologist. We've had some quite the discussions back and forth, via post usually. Jar and Large and Red Dice Diaries, just a bunch, and I'm missing a whole bunch. I can tell you also, James Raggi also had a lot of influence on how I play today now too, and just in terms of his philosophy. I really, he can be a little rough around the edges, but I really, there was a lot of great takeaways from what he told me, what I've learned from his game philosophies. Number 21, funniest misinterpretation of a rule in your group. I don't think it was a misinterpretation, but it was funny anyway. So I'm gonna tell it. So I'm totally gonna cheat. I had a character in a game I ran for a while, and they got charmed. The person used charm person on them, and it was this wizard. And the guy I kind of based off that creepy guy in the second Poltergeist movie. That God is in his holy temple. Kind of creepy skeletal looking guy. So that was Marvin. And he totally charmed Duck, as a matter of fact. And Duck kept failing her saving throw over and over. And we recently first edition spell rules, and so you get to re-roll your saving throw every once in a while. And she just always failed. And so the rest of the party was like, we've got to do something about this guy, because he was kind of like this villain in the background for a while. And she's like, I think he's such a nice guy. I didn't have any problem with him. We should go hang out. So that wasn't a misinterpretation, so to speak, but it's funny, so I'm going to talk about it. So how about that? Share one of your best worst luck stories. Well, I don't know if it's worst luck. Well, okay, well, here's a good one. Durgan the Mighty, that my friend Mark played. Here was the deal. We were involved in this campaign. Joe the lawyer was running a Lamentations of the Flame Princess campaign. It was not very Lamentations of the Flame Princess-y in terms of horror, but there was some stuff. And so he had some great stuff going on. But at one point, Durgan had found this artifact. They were kind of like the hands of Vecna, so to speak, but it was the hands of this overlord or whatever from years ago. And he found one of them. And only over time were the powers of these hands actually revealed to us and stuff like that. But it was an artifact, and the deal was he discovered he had to cut his own left hand off. He was left, and doesn't make a difference. And then put this mummified hand on the stump of his bleeding arm, and should he fail a save versus poison and not die, then he would gain all these powers. He did. It was great. So he ran around for a long time with that one crazy hand. And we ended up finding the other one through a series of fortunate or unfortunate events, depending on how you're looking at it. And it was made manifest that if he had both of these on, it'd be something else. However, there was this, once again, save versus poison or die instantly. Old school, and big risk, big reward in this case. Something was very foolish, but had a huge payout if you won. He lost. So, this is after my wizard died. He went ahead and took it like a man. Or a woman, took like a person. I don't want to be, but yeah, didn't go so well for him. Didn't go so well for him. So that's how he died, and there you go. So hopefully I didn't put my foot in my mouth too much, but you know what I mean. Anyhow, 24th. What is the 24? What is the game you're most likely to give to others? I tell you what, for the bang for the buck, because I don't have $1 million, I would say a basic fantasy role-playing game. That's a good one. That's a great BX clone for like $5. Come on. What makes for a good character? Good character, a good character. Man, this video's getting too long already. Let's see. For a good character, I guess really that varies so much. I think the idea is that you give them some kind of personality over time. That I guess that they're not just a cookie cutter, superhero, or a cookie cutter, wizard, or cookie cutter, warrior or thief or whatever. That you actually, the player breathes some life into them. I don't care what their stats are. I don't care what their abilities are. It's important to an extent, but it's just the personality that gets gets breathed into them by the player. When they get fleshed out, then that's a good character. I don't care how effective they are mechanically. These are the characters I remember more than anything else. Are the ones that really had a real personality in real life. So, I go on and on without that, but it would just be pontificating endlessly. What hobbies go well with RPGs? Drinking soda and eating pizza. I don't know, because there's you can't just pigeonhole us anymore. You really can't. I mean, reading, I guess, would be good. Reading is always a good thing. A familiarization with the tropes and the genres in some way. So I guess digesting some sort of fiction appropriate to what you're trying to emulate. But yeah, eating junk food probably goes pretty well with it. Most unusual circumstance or location in which you've gamed. I'm pretty vanilla. We played Moe's, chain restaurant in New Haven, Connecticut. And they actually let us play there every Sunday for like almost a year and a half when we were playing that Lamentations game, because we were coming from all over different areas of Connecticut. So it would have been prohibitive to go to somebody else's house. Everybody would have to drive an hour. So this was kind of middle ground. So that's it. And they put up with us. We kept buying stuff, so they were okay. Thing you'd be most surprised a friend had not seen or read. Star Wars? I know some people have never seen it. That's kind of weird. Read, I don't take that for granted. Star Trek, original Star Trek, maybe. So, once again, if you can game anywhere on Earth, where would you choose? I would like to game on the castle on top of Sleeping Giant Mountain in Hamden, Connecticut. I grew up there, not in the castle. Although my grandfather, helped build that whole road up there and everything during the whole, Depression era, projects. I forget the name of that, what they were doing over there. But really cool, great castle. It's got actually a couple of rooms in it. It's just kind of a touristy thing, but there's some rooms in it that are just really neat. I always wanted to play D&D in there ever since I started playing D&D. I just never got a chance to. So that'd be kind of neat. So how about that? Let's see. Describe the ideal game room if the budget were unlimited. Comfortable. I would say comfortable. Big table. Cellular free zone. Sounds like it would just completely knock out cell phones. Unless you really need to use your tab. Nah, forget it. You got the PDF. Screw it. Yeah, that would do it. But just comfortable, really. Easy access to like all the creature comforts. Amenities. Easy access to a bathroom. You're not climbing all over each other to go excuse yourself. Whatever kind of snacks kind of readily available. I suppose things like dimmable lights and all that kind of junk if you want to get ambiance, but really just comfortable. Not very choosy. Comfortable chairs. How about that? Not a bizarre height table, and a table that dice actually roll on, because there's some plastic tables. I've got some folding ones. They land flat. Does nothing. So real, honest to God, table that the dice roll on. Best advice you were ever given for your game of choice. That's a tough one to really pick. Got a lot of, I can't put it into, I can't say the exact words that were said, because I think it was said in various different ways, but, a lot of them, came from the way of, Frank Menser, Mike Mornard, some of the original guys from the hobby, where it's just, make a ruling, make stuff up, move on. You know, don't waste time, looking for, a rule or just, trying to make sure you got it right. Just make a ruling and move on. It's going to be okay. Nobody's going to die. And that's pretty darn good advice. So I don't know if that's the best one, but that's one that made me kind of breathe a sigh of relief at some point. And there's a whole bunch of other, but that's a good one. That's a really good one. I suppose maybe second, best would be, because my game of choice happens to be, overall like old school, like BX type D&D, like Lamentations of the Flying Princess. The advice that James Raggy has about like just keeping inflation down to a minimum. Don't have a million armor classes. Just have a really short, small range. Don't have, have some unique monsters. Don't just have the meat H-Roll, and Umber Hulk, Age of Lattice Cube. Have some bizarre, horrific monster. Make it interesting. So that's it. I suppose, I just kind of did a little blitzkrieg through them, and maybe next year I'll participate, better. So that's all I got. It's over. Yeah, we had that on 8-track. Mom had a Chevy Vega. We used to listen to that album on the 8-track. I forget what song it actually split in half. Maybe it didn't, but yeah, listened to a lot of Black Sabbath. We had that one 8-track. That and Ace Frehley's solo album, Ozone. Take it easy.